Welcome back, everyone, to Global War 1936 and Operation Lone Ranger. This time we're doing turn 17 for Italy. Last video I was kind of wondering about the Anzac infantry. And yes, I'd already put them on the unit card. So in turn number 16, we had 9 Anzac infantry. And so turn 17, with the purchase of this 1 for $3, gets us up to 10 for them in Sydney. So everything's good to go there. For Italy, we have 1 tech roll, and we're still trying to get on the board for improved construction. That's going to be at a 7 or higher. And we fail again. Par for the course. For purchases, we're going to start to try and rebuild the fleet a little bit here. So we got a battleship starting out on stage 3, 2 heavy cruisers starting at stage 2. Going to build a destroyer, and then also going to purchase an infantry. For combat moves, still don't think I'm going to go into Cape Town. Quite yet. Just going to keep on trying to get forces into position here. So really, oh yeah, I'm going to bring this guy down, try some convoy rating. Now he's going to be at a +1, and of course Britain is at a +3. And we fail. 4 to 9. All right. We are getting pushed back here in North Africa. And, I was reading the rule book for victory cities and kind of how they play into determining the end of the game. And, originally I was under the impression that, and, I'm going through this to explain it so that you're going to understand why Britain is trying to go for strategic objectives and not victory cities. Because at this stage in the game, since they're so far behind, it actually doesn't really benefit them at all to go after victory cities like Berlin or Paris. And the reason for that is because when the United States at the end of their turn, at the end of this turn, rolls to determine the end of the game, you have to factor in all occupied victory city or capital victory cities of major nations. So, and that includes Berlin and Paris, right? That's not just Axis controlled or Allied conquered victory cities like, say, Moscow or Calcutta or Sydney or London. It's all of them, whether it's Axis or Allied. And the more capital cities capital cities of major nations that are occupied by the enemy, the greater chance there is of the game ending. Okay? So because the Allies are so far behind, taking over Berlin and Paris isn't going to help them win the game. It's only going to hasten the end of the game, which is kind of weird that that's the mechanic. But, I thought that you only count up the enemy Axis controlled victory cities like Moscow or, in this case, it would be Calcutta and Paris. And then that would determine the end of the game, and the Allied cities don't matter, but they do. So this is why the Allies are focused more on getting strategic objectives back rather than focusing, say, on Rome or Paris or Berlin. They could take Paris, or they could take Berlin and Rome and that would only give them 2 strategic objectives, and as it stands right now, they only have, let's see, 1, 2, they only have 3. So that would boost them up to 5. I mean, the Axis have 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They have 15. So, if the Axis were to lose some capitals here, Germany never surrenders. So it's not like Paris would fall too automatically. Stalingrad. It's not like they would automatically lose Lebensraum, or they would lose Festung Europe. They're probably going to lose that when the Allies launch an amphibious assault into mainland Europe. But, that only reduces them down to like 12. 12 or 13. So the Allies would still be extremely far behind. So at this point, the Allies just want to extend the game for as long as they can. They don't want to do anything that's going to hasten the end of the game. And I can read the rule here. It's kind of towards the beginning of the rule book. All right, so beginning July 1944, victory points are counted and a D12 die is rolled at the end of each calendar turn. The USA player rolls the die after its player's turn is finished. Subtract 1 from the USA player rolled for the game end die roll for each enemy-possessed, originally owned major power capital. And then it lists them all. Berlin, Tokyo, Rome, Moscow, Washington, D.C., London, Paris, Calcutta, Sydney. So it's a mixture of Allied and Axis. So you actually roll for for all of these that are occupied by the enemy. And then the game ends on the following modified roll. And then it gives an example. And in this example, it's July 44, the turn that we're in now. And Paris is the only major capital that's occupied. So you would need to roll a 2 or a less for the game to end. And then, of course, as we go further out in the calendar, the roll for that to end the game, actually, the base roll increases. So this tells me that it's not just based on Allied capitals that are occupied by the Axis. It's actually any capital of a major power that's occupied will contribute to the end of the game. So that totally changes the entire strategy. So hopefully that explains why Britain here is trying to go after strategic objectives rather than just straight up capitals. Because if we were just to take Berlin, that's not really going to move the needle much. Even though you probably would think that it would because it's their capital. But, because Germany never surrenders, it actually would be in the Allied interest more to go after Paris. Because if they were to get Paris, we actually bring back a major power. France would return as a major power at that point. And we would have an extra nation on our side to help, then push Germany and Italy further. So what we really need to focus on then is retaking Lower Egypt, and more importantly, going down here and retaking Abyssinia to remove that Italian strategic objective. We can remove Africa Orientale Italiana, Festung Europa when we invade Western Europe. And of course, I'm talking from the Allied perspective here, even though we're doing Italy's turn. But, and then maybe focusing over here. Trying to retake Calcutta if the game goes on long enough to allow us to try and do that. So at any rate, so moving along here with Italy, we are going to bring down this medium armor into Baluchistan. This 1 infantry will come down into South Africa from Rhodesia. This mountain will come down 1 into Abyssinia. And we're going to send... I think we'll leave those guys there in the Belgian Congo. The Free French are amassing up there in Cameroon. All right. We're going to take 2 airborne and drop them off into Tripoli. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and they will go into Lower Egypt and settle there. These self-propelled artillery are going to come down into Lazio along with 2 mechanized infantry. And I think we're good everywhere else. All right, let's place some units. So the only thing we have to place is a destroyer and a regular infantry. The regular infantry will go into Eritrea, and the destroyer will go into M5, and he will also go into port. All right, let's collect some income. So we have the Suez, so we get a bonus of 2. Our base is 24, so that puts us up to 26. And that will do it for Italy. Next up will be turn 17 for the KMT in the United States. Thanks so much for watching as always, and until I see you in the next video, take care and bye-bye for now.